Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavarthaya Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Apyayantu mamangani
Apyayantu mamangani
Akpranachakshushotramato balamindriyani cha sarvani
Vakpranashchakshushrotramatho balamindriyani cha
Indriyani cha sarvani
Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam
Sarvam Brahmaupanishadam
Maham Brahma Nirakuryam
Maham Brahma Nirakuryam
Mama Brahma Nirakarod
Mama Brahma Nirakarot
Anirakaranamaspanirakaranam me astu
Anirakaranam me astu
Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu brahmaste mayi santu Tadatmani nirateya upanishatsu dharmaste mayi santu
Santu
mayi santu.
mayi santu. Om Shanti Shanti
Shanti
Shanti.
Shanti.
Brahma Vidya, represented here in the story in the form of Uma, appeared in the place where Yaksha was, who had disappeared as Indra approached him. And Indra then meditated upon that Yaksha. And on that meditation, Uma appeared. Uma is that Vidya. That Vidya, to know the nature of Brahman, to be I, is not something one can gain without Upanishads, Vedanta, and without a teacher. This is also exemplified in the story. Uma then teaches Indra. Sa Brahma iti ovacha. Uma says, that is Brahman. When you say Brahman, we have two real concepts in our head. Initially, we think of Saguna Brahman. Brahman in the form of Parameshwara, who is omniscient, omnipotent, all power, all strength, all knowledge, who is Bhagavan, who has all the six bhagas in absolute terms. That's a relatively easier concept to understand. But we've been studying that that is also not Brahman. That Brahman is without any guna, any attribute.
Ah.
That Brahman is what is. Using the word that Brahman. Real knowledge is I, the Brahman. Everything else becomes knowable. Knowable meaning knowable through the various pramanas we have, the senses we have, inference, all the other that we know of, through examples, through inference. And anything that is knowable in this way is also destructible. That which we are seeking to understand, Brahman, Ajaha, Ananta, Amara, is I. Because everything else becomes object. I, the subject, which is Shrotrasya Shrotram, Manaso Manoyati, etc. Which is the only thing which is not object. Aham Pratyaya, I. Everything else becomes idam. Therefore, that Brahman is I, is that learning. So, Uma teaches Indra that what you saw is the formless Brahman visible to you in the form of a yaksha. But what you have to understand is what is that formless Brahman. As long as we give it a form, just so that we can perceive that Brahman, we are excluding ourselves from that Brahman. The moment you give that form any attribute, you are separating yourself from that Brahman. And what we're trying to learn is that if it separates from you, it cannot be you. So that I has to be that formless, attributeless Brahman, not limited by time, and therefore cannot be born at any given time, cannot die at any given time. But we all know we are born and we die. In the form we are born, and in that form we die. Therefore, the form dies. Form is born. I have nothing to do with it. Every form is I. Because without the I, there is no form. I itself does not have a form. I itself does not have any attribute, but every attribute comes from the form. So it comes from the Brahman. All this is taught by Uma. All this is Brahma Vidya. And therefore, Sa Brahmeti Hovacha. Uma said that was Brahman. Understand that what you saw was a Brahman with guna, because you had a form. However translucent that form was, however effulgent that form was, there was a form. An intriguing form that made all these people in the middle of their party want to go stop and go and find out what that form is. And that form proved to be so powerful that it made even devatas as powerful as Agni and Vayu try to prove their power. With Agni should have said, "Ah, what Trina? This Tucha, I don't even care about this." He didn't. When that Yaksha said, "Burn this," Agni tried. Perhaps initially saying, one lick of flame and hope that it burns. I've burned millions of such things. I've burned whole forests. What is this one Trina? Didn't help. Why you went through the same thing? Their presence of their individuality, the ego, was exemplified in the story by their saying, "I am Agni, I am Jataved." Nobody asked you. I'm Jataved. I'm Krishna. I'm the Home Minister's nephew. Nobody asked you. Same thing with Vayu. I am Vayu, I am Matarishwa. And Vayu also failed. First, he tried to express his power. Failed. That individuality that was there, that non-recognition of the fact that any power, any glory does not belong to the individual. This is why when they were celebrating, saying that it is our victory, we did this, we did the other. They could not do even a simple task. Indra came looking to find out who this Yaksha is. Again came with the same kind of individuality, ego. And that Yaksha simply wasn't there. Senses tried to reach, cannot get there. Words will give you vachyartha, the meaning, the word meaning. But they cannot give you the swarupa. So all of these fail when Indra put aside that individuality, contemplated upon that Yaksha, then Brahma Vidya is taught to him. What was that Brahma Vidya? First said, Brahmanaha va etat vijaye mahiyadvam. All that glory that you've been celebrating is not because of your victory. That victory also belongs to that Brahman who came to you in the form of Yaksha. Therefore, when he was able to put aside his individual ego and understood, Devatas have this problem. They also have avidya. But because they are sattvika pradhana, they respond differently. And they can learn this vidya very quickly. Remember in the Gita also it says, you have to raise yourself from tamas predominant to rajas predominant to sattvic predominant. Only then can you transcend the triguna. sitting in rajas or tamas to transcend the triguna is not possible. One has to move to being sattva predominant, to be able to gain that launching pad, to get out of the pull of the gunas, like a rocket launch. You need to have that escape velocity, to get out of the Earth's atmosphere. So Indra understood. Tataha hi eva vidanchakara brahma iti. He understood. Vidanchakara, he knew. The lit form, old past tense form, old meaning of a long time ago. He understood. So the lesson here is also that, one, as long as we hang on to an individual ego, as long as the abhimana is with the individual body, mind, sense complex, this knowledge cannot be gained because the knowledge has nothing to do with the individual. And that this, by the same kind of thinking that I will find out, I will know, I have a high IQ, I have great knowledge, I'm an erudite person, I'm a scholar, I'll find out on my own, doesn't work. You need to be taught Brahma Vidya. Having gained this Brahma Vidya, apparently Indra went back and taught Agni and Vayu. Remember, Agni and Vayu also are exalted, as it is they are devas. Plus, they've had the opportunity to interact with Brahman as Parameshvara. They have been thinking that all the glory is mine. They forgot that they are only devatas. And that all glory belongs to Parameshvara, one Ishvara. But because they've already had this opportunity to interact with Parameshvara in the form of the Yaksha, they were ready. Now, these Puranas also you see, whether Ravana or Vali, they gain moksha simply because their death comes from Parameshvara in the form of an avatara. Their interaction with Parameshvara ensures moksha for them. So these devatas became superior to other devatas who had not yet learned this lesson, learned this knowledge, gained this knowledge. It also says, Tasmad va ete devaha atitaram. Here, you'll see the use of the words indeed, he, eva, as though, in several places. There's a meaning for all of them. Ete devaha atitaram iva, as though they are superior to other devatas. Atitaram. Once you understand Brahman, there is no superior, inferior. There's only Brahman. Very superior, inferior. Atitaram iva anyan devan. Compared to other devas, they were as though superior. Yad agnihi vayuhu indraha te hi yenat nedishtam pasparshu. Because they had the opportunity to be close to, in contact with Parameshwara. If you don't even know the existence of Parameshwara as that entity which is the source of all glory, which is what is happening in the party, there's no question of being in contact with Parameshwara. It is not that I waste myself. It is not that I demean myself by recognizing Parameshwara. Because really what I recognize is I am Parameshwara. I am not different from Parameshwara. It is the wrong idea of I that I've been having all this time, which is the source of all my problems. So one might wonder, you're saying submit to Parameshwara, recognize Parameshwara, glory as everything. I have no glories. All this time I'm trying to build my self-esteem up by saying I'm this, I'm the other. Now you're telling me none of it belongs to me. None of it belongs to me, the false me, the false I, where I had a mistaken notion of I. All of it belongs to me, to I only. When I recognize I am non-separate from Parameshwara. It is not something I need to run away from, because there I go, my self-esteem is brought down several notches. In reality, your self-esteem is boosted to infinity. But self-esteem of the correct I, not the falsified I. Tasmat va ete devaha atitaram iva anyan devan yad agnihi vayuhu indraha te yenat nedishtam pasparshu. Because they came in close contact with Parameshwara in the form of the Yaksha, they became as though superior to all other Devaha. And they become Prathama, because they were the first to know, gain the Jnanam. Vidanchakara Brahmeti. Brahma, understand Vidanchakara, they understood, they knew Brahman. Presumably, Indra came and taught to Agni and Vayu. But Indra was the first to know. He was the first to lay down the individuality, meditate upon the Yaksha, and gain the Jnanam directly from Uma. He became Guru to Agni and Vayu. So the next verse he says, Tasmadva Indraha Atitaram Anyan Devan. Indra was the first. So although once you learn, there is no difference between Guru and Shishya. Because Guru teaches exactly what he knows. What does he know? Aham Brahmosmi. Shishya also understands I am Brahmosmi. Where's the difference? All the same, because there is the krama, there is a value we put on the Guru. Once the Shishya has also understood, there is no difference. There is no Guru, there is no Shishya. But till that time, there is this krama, Tasmadva Indraha Atitaram iva Anyan Devan Sahi Enat Nedishtam Pasparsha. Not only Nedishtam, he also was taught. Sahi Enat Pratamaha Vidanchakara Brahmeti. Agni and Vayu Atitaraha. You are as though the two of them superior. Dual case, Atitaraha. But Indra was Atitamam. Superlative case. He directly learnt it from Brahma. From Brahma. So they were as if they had learned, gained this knowledge. Indra directly from Uma, and the other two from Indra. Then there is an illustration for the Devatas to understand, other Devatas perhaps to understand, because they were not taught, they had to learn. And to begin with, you learn through an example, through an illustration. Tasya esha adeshaha. Adesha is upama upadeshaha. Through an illustration. Yat etat vidyutaha vyadyutada. Uta there. Uta here indicates iva, as to. There is no example. You can't give an example. It is anupama. But the upama given, like a flash of lightning. When the lightning flashes, you can't see it. Eyes close automatically. You only see a reflection in the clouds. Like a flash of lightning, the vritti, ham brahmosmi, comes and goes. That's all, his job is done. Atmabodha Shankaracharya gives an example of kataka. Kataka is a nut which is used to clean the suspended particles in water. You put that in the water with a lot of suspended particles, they all disappear, including the kataka itself. I think they use alum these days to do that. That vritti comes, jnana vritti comes, but there is no vritti where Brahman is concerned. A vritti will indicate object. Ham brahmosmi is not indicating an object. The vritti comes and vritti also goes. Everything else and the vritti itself become mithya. Then the person is jnani. That is why the jnani can never make a statement, I know. And we went through this in the second chapter. Naham svedeti. I can't make a statement like that. The jnani also can't make a statement. Like the flash of lightning, this vritti also, after all the preparation is ready, comes, makes the person using that manas, the buddhi, gain that knowledge, and the vritti also goes. Vidyutaha vyadyutata. Same way, when that vidyuta comes, eyes close. Iti nyamimishat. Nyamimishada. Eyes also close. This illustration is for the devatas. Adidaivatam. Adidaivatam one has to understand correctly. Senses also called devatas. Deva, because they're also revealing. Senses also called Deva. And the king of the devas, king of the senses, is the manas, or buddhi, antakarana. Like the Indra is the king of the devas. The manas and all the senses, they can only give you the vachyartha of Brahman. Brahma etymologically means big, Brihat. You can extend and say that which is bigger than everything. That will be the vachyartha. But what is the lakshyartha? What is the meaning behind that word? You can't find out because meaning is you. The subject is the meaning. The vritti is, the seeker is the sought. There is no separate sought and separate seeker. As happens when you try and cognize any object in this jagat. In the same fashion, devatas also generally have avidya, have to be taught. They can approach yaksha, Brahman in the form of yaksha, but they can never know. When yaksha asks Agni and Vayu, who are you? You don't even know who you are. How are you going to know Brahman? Because you are Brahman. You think you are Matarishwa, you think you are Agni and Vayu. Those are upadhi, not you. So they had a huge problem in trying to know Brahman because they were looking for objectification of Brahman. So adidaivatam, at both levels it is true. Devas also have the same vichikitsa, uncertainty, doubt about the truth of the self. So it says, iti adidaivatam. This is the adidaivata instruction through an illustration. Maybe Indra used this illustration to teach Agni and Vayu and to the other devatas. But at the individual level, the question originally asked was what? Keneshitam preshitam patati preshitam manaha. The individual mind, how does it operate? And the answer was, Shrotasya shrotram manaso manoyatu. At the adhyatmika level, how do you understand? The next verse says, Atha adhyatmam yetad yat yetad gacchati iva cha manaha anena cha yetad upasmarati abhikshanam sankalpaha. The manas as though approaches Brahman. Gacchati iva. How can you say gacchati When you understand, Manas is also Brahman. Buddhi is Brahman. Senses are Brahman. How can there be any gacha, gam dhatu, going to? Seeks Brahman. As a human being or as a devata, in this case as a human being, we are always seeking that, even if we don't know it. We are seeking that knowledge, not knowing the seeker is the sort. What I'm seeking is I. Therefore, every seeking is only as though. There is a adhyatmam yad yetat gacchati iva cha manaha anena cha etat upasmarati abhikshanam. Repeatedly, sankalpaha. The adhyatma instruction at the level of adhyatma, the mind seeks as though Brahman, and one remembers Brahman again and again and again. The beauty, like I said, is most of us don't even know that we are seeking. Out of this huge population of human beings in the Jagat, very few even know that that's what we are seeking. Anushyanam sahastreshu kaschit yatati siddhaye. Very few people even seek. Even if we don't know, but we are all seeking that only all the time. And that Brahman is known as Tadvanam, Tadvaraniyam. Vanam literally means forest. But here the Vanam word refers to Varaniyam, Pujaniyam. Tadvanam nama, Tadvanam iti upasitavyam. That Brahman as the repository of all glories, all knowledge, all power has to be contemplated upon, meditated upon. Tadvanamiti upasitavyam. Saya etad evam veda abhi. Oh, this is very interesting. Vedavi haina sarvani bhutani samvanchanti. One who recognizes this Brahman as Varaniyam, as worshipful, as all power, all glory, all vibhuti. One who recognizes that Brahman, and one who then is taught by a guru to understand there is no difference between that Ishvara and I. He becomes abhisamvanchanti, or all people, all sarvani bhutani, everybody adores such a person. Samvanchanti. You will see that Veda abhi hi enam sarvani bhutani samvanchanti. The abhi there in that, you have to break it down. It's not Veda abhi. Veda abhi hi enam sarvani bhutani samvanchanti. Samyak vanchanti. Abhita vanchanti. Such a person becomes adorable, worshipful for all other beings. Why? Because he recognized Tadvanam, Tad Varaniyam, Tad Brahma Varaniyam, Pujaniyam, Prarthaniyam. He recognizes that and understands that there is no difference between that Brahman. I am that Brahman. And automatically, all beings adore this person, adore this person. They all want to be with that person. Person still has the Sharira. Person still moves around this Jagat. By this time, that person doesn't care about wanting to be adored by anybody. Because it's understood. But he does become adorable. We recognize this in people who have gained this knowledge. There is a tejas in them. In our culture, anybody who studied Vedanta, who studied Shastra seriously, typically who studied Shastra in a Gurukulam, who has therefore no value for anything which is Laukika. So looked at from the Laukika point of view, he has no wealth. He doesn't even wear perhaps fancy clothes, doesn't have a fancy car. And yet in our culture, such a person is looked up to. Is seen in a very high light. So he says, Sarvani Bhutani Abhisamvanchanti. Once a person has meditated upon Tadvanam, he who meditates like this, who does Nididhyasanam on Brahman and gains this knowledge, becomes adorable to everybody else. With this, the Upanishad is over. All the Upanishad is done, completed at the Adhyatmika level and at the Daivatam level. But there are another 3-4 verses. What does it say? Upanishadam bho bruhi. One student puts up his hand and said, please, hey bhoho, teach me Upanishad. All this while, so many hours of Shravanam you've done, he's finished the Upanishad by saying that even the phala is given. One fellow gets up and says, please teach me Upanishad. It doesn't sound right. Shastra also says, he who has a teacher will gain. How come that? And earlier the student had talked about saying, he who understands what I'm saying understands Brahman. All the others have also gone through the same teaching by the same teacher. So Shankaracharya explains this by saying that Upanishad is over. You separate that from the Upaya. What is the Upaya I should take? One could ask, how do I build in myself the qualities which will make me understand this? I understand that unless I have certain specific qualities, I may not understand this, gain this knowledge, even though I do Shravana. What is it that I should gain in terms of preparatory steps? What is the Upaya? So teacher makes it very clear. Upanishadam bruhi iti. Bhoho Upanishadam bruhi. So here the Upanishadam should be read as upaya. What should I do? I have not really grasped it. I want to know, but there is something which is something I have to do. Otherwise, a person who has followed this, there's nothing to do. But this is one person, one student who says, what do I do? So the teacher says, Upanishad Ukta. I have already told you the Upanishad. Brahmi Vavata Upanishadam Abhruma. I have taught you the Upanishad. That Upanishad for which the subject matter is Brahman. I have taught you. And yet I understand your question. I understand what you're asking for. What are you asking for? You want the upaya. What do I do? So he says, Tasyai tapodama karmeti pratishtha vedaha sarvangani satyam ayatanam. That Brahman I have taught you stands, that knowledge stands on three important legs. He says, but all the preparatory steps, tapaha, damaha, and karma. Tasyai, of it, of what? Of that Brahma Jnanam. These three form the pratishtha. Like a tripod. What is there? Tapaha. Any religious austerity is tapaha. Damaha includes all the adhikaritvam that we've been talking about. Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, etc., etc. One builds all those qualities. Simply put, it's this much. If the mind, where the knowledge has to take place, is not stable, is not tranquil, it cannot absorb this knowledge. If it is already agitated. So every preparation I do has to bring that mind to the state of calmness. And you do that through karma yoga. Tapat dhamat karma iti pratishtha. And all the Vedas, they are the angas, the limbs, the four Vedas, including the Karma Kanda, Upasana Kanda, Jnana Kanda, all of them, they form the other limbs. Remember, these are all upaya. And Satyam is the abode, is the very basis. True to oneself, true to the seeking, that forms the abode. So in answer to the question from the student, the teacher said, I've already told you the Upanishad. Brahma Jnanam is complete, including an illustration, including the phala. Everything is done. If the grasp is not complete, then preparation has to be relooked at. And that preparation is three things. Tapaha, Dhammaha, and karma. As always, it's cryptic, but you understand that includes everything. Every religious austerity, prayers, puja, japa, yoga, keeping vrata, all of them become tapa. Dhamma, all the qualities that have to gain. Manitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshanti rajavam, acharyo, pasanam, shaucham, all of them. I have to work towards gaining that and become a karma yogi. Then the teaching is complete, preparation is complete. Says, yaha va etam evam veda apahatya papamanam anante swarge loke jeye pratitishthati. He who understands this, one who understands this Upanishad, which is very simple and yet very complex. One who understands this Upanishad in this manner, one who understands Brahma Vidya in this manner, one who understands the nature of the self in this manner, Papmanam apahritya. Where is the question of Papa Punya? Once you've understood there is no Papa, there is no Punya. Everything is burnt. There is no Papa Punya, there is no karma left, there is no karma phala left. Because Kartrutvam is gone, I have understood Brahman. He reaches Swargaloke. After that, you come back again and say, go to Swargaloka. What is this? Therefore, he qualifies the Swargaloka by saying, Anante Swargi Loke. We all have this concept. Swarga is the place of Ananda. If you add Ananta to that, then becomes Ananda Swarupa. Anante Swarge Loke Jeye, highest form. All other Ananda is limited, temporary, accompanied by its counterpart. But Anante Swarge Loke, when it is Ananda Swarupa, then there is no Anta. Abides in Pratitishthati. Once you've understood, there is no coming back. One understands, I am Brahman. There is no question of where I'm not sitting on Brahman or Brahman is in me. I am. I am that Satyam Jnanam Anantam. Pratitishthati again. That is only to indicate the end of this Upanishad. Remember, this is all oral tradition. Like we have, they didn't have books. So everything had to be conveyed through correct pronunciation and through upaya like this. Pratitishthati meaning that's it, there's no more to come. That is why in chanting any Vedic mantra, so important to follow the swaras correctly. You cannot make a mistake either in the pronunciation or in the swara or in the matra it might convey completely different meaning. So Pratitishtati, Pratitishtati. At the end of the beautiful, simple, yet very complex Upanishad called Kenopanishad. End of the 4th chapter and end of the Upanishad itself. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.